Hello and welcome back. Once again, it is time for the Golden Age of DC Comics, 365 days, where I take this beloved hardcover coffee table book given to me about 2 decades ago by one of my best friends. This has been surfing my coffee table ever since, and it provides a great source of comic book shop style conversations, the kind that we used to have on any given Wednesday at the Funny Book Bodegas. That's new release day for the noobs. Actually, DC Comics has recently changed their new release day to Tuesdays as well. So, you know, just that's modernity, huh? But, yeah, the Golden Age of DC Comics runs between 1938, the first appearance of Superman in Action Comics, #1, until 1955. This Silver Age begins in 1956. With the first appearance of the modern-day Flash, Barry Allen, in Showcase #4. That runs until 1970. The Bronze Age, I'm a Bronze Age baby myself, runs between 1970 and 1985. And the Copper Age begins in 1985. I get these standards from the Overstreet Price Guide and its wonderful glossary. And I find this to be an acceptable standard, and we can begin the conversation and about like what age are we currently in? What age did we just leave? What age are we going to? You know, I love talking about comic books. We're going to use this book for its intended purpose. It's a 365 days book. We're going to open up the book to today's date, August the 21st. We're going to look at some comic book art from an antediluvian age. We're going to read the blurb, and then we're going to talk about comic books. And we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. So yeah, let's get to it. I also usually throw in something called the escapism caveat right about now. I've reserved that for the end of the broadcast, so it'll be in a video right down here. It's worth its own watch, and where I get to elaborate and decompress my message a bit over a longer form. So please tune in. Tell me what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? You think I'm off base? You know, let's talk about that too. Comments in the comments section. We continue the conversation. We're having one right now. Isn't this great? I love it. And I'm so blessed that you're tuning in right now. If you love comic books as much as I do, you have come to the right channel, the right place at the right time. You know, I gotta wet my whistle a little bit. Seriously. All this talking, it's like dries the mouth out. It really does. Let's get to it. Let's crack this book open. It is August the 21st. It is one of my old friends, the Golden Age Green Lantern. This is story by John Broome, art by Alex Toth, the grandfather here of the Super Friends. This is from Green Lantern number 31, March-April of 1948. And it's Green Lantern versus the Fool. Dun dun dun. Minutes after Green Lantern and Doiby recover consciousness, laying toy railroad tracks over us. What are you up to, fool? This is the silliest thing you ever heard of, Green Lantern? Okay. And you can tell in the panel above that there is some kind of in this box of toys, we can see the sequential panels. Okay, we got 3 panels here. Sure, two of them are cropped, but we can see Green Lantern himself and his distinctive outfit. There's a box of toys, and from this box of toys comes what we can't see, but I can totally tell what it is. It is a boxing glove on an extending spring lever. So this boxing glove created enough, motion and force to be able to knock the hero out. And perhaps it's made of wood somehow too. Maybe there's a wooden, thing inside the boxing glove. Who knows? But that's the Fool. We talked about him in negative portrayals of mental health a couple of episodes ago too. You might want to backtrack and watch them all. Exactly. It is August the 21st. Batman jousted with the Joker. Superman punished the prankster. And for a brief time, Green Lantern fought the Fool. Dressed like a little kid in shorts and patent leather shoes, The punk with the Pinocchio proboscis seems less menacing than annoying. Yet he has managed to knock out Green Lantern and his taxi driver pal, Doiby Dickles, not to mention the heroine of the month, only to cover them with toy train tracks. Yeah, let's look at that art once again, you know. I love toy trains. I didn't have a toy train set growing up. I've been fascinated with them. I'm so lucky that I didn't grow up to, you know, make a, you know, one of those tables with all the towns and the trees and the railroad, and you know, because I would do something like that. I mean, look, I got all these. I'm a geek. Hello. I definitely do stuff like this. I would have been prime to have been a toy train aficionado, a lover of toy trains and making, you know, the quintessential like tiny town to go with it, and because that sounds really fun, and I've loved looking at those. But let's talk about Green Lantern, and let's talk about his friend Doiby Dickles for a second, and then we're going to talk about other friends of Green Lanterns, because it's been a thing in comic books where how do we get tension? Well, we put characters in peril, and there's the resolution of that peril gives an emotional release and a closure to the story, and that's what, you know, usually is the, you know, heroic tale. And from, you know, there's some brass, you know, tacks things to it. And so Charles Derby Dickles, and through his thick urban accent, it's a doiby. It's a, you know, it's a bowler hat, a round hat with a rounded top. It's a, you know, a derby hat, or this could be considered a derby hat, I guess, too. I've heard it called an 8-panel hat. I've heard it called a newspaper boy hat, or a popcorn pop hat. But yeah, but it's not a scally cap, to be honest. And this is an Irish cap. It's made by Hannah Hats of Donegal, and it's wool, and it's a wonderful hat. I got a few of these. I'm very picky about my hats. You know, I'm a bald guy. I need hats. This is great. But let's get back to the Doiby. Doiby Dickles is a fictional character from DC Comics. He was the original sidekick for Alan Scott, the first Green Lantern appearing in comic books, starring that hero from 1941 to 1949. He was the first of the comic relief sidekicks that came to define the all-American approach to superheroics in the 1940s. So, you know, Doiby was, you know, got himself into trouble. He got himself, was hapless. A little, you know, he's not as, you know, he's got his own set of smarts. He's got street smarts, and he knows how to get by. He's not, you know, what we would call all too bright, or definitely not an erudite, but, you know, Doiby's a nice guy, and he helps out. He drives a cab, too. So he's, you know, he's very, he's like an all-around, you know, salt of the earth, you know, an everyman, and perhaps even our vehicle into the Green Lantern world ourselves. And Doiby helps Green Lantern out one day, and then Green Lantern sends Doiby a quaint letter. Doiby, I could use a good man like you to help me in my fight against all evil. How about it? The Green Lantern. Signed, the Green Lantern. And they were kind of best friends after that. But also Doiby gets into trouble all the time, and Alan Scott is continually getting him out of trouble. And Hal Jordan had two really good friends, human friends, like non-powered friends. Well, one of them becomes powered, both of them actually, but Hal Jordan was a test pilot, so he had two friends, two of his closest friends, were both on the base, and you know, and they knew who he was as Green Lantern and kept it their secret. But they were always in, you know, part of the story, and they were always kind of getting into trouble that Green Lantern has to kind of get them out. Not always, but you know, that's like, you know, one of the things about being the human friend to a superhero. You get into peril, and the superhero has to save you. Kind of like Jimmy Olsen and Superman. Jimmy's always getting himself into a situation to take that perfect photograph for the Daily Planet. But he's always getting himself into trouble and then putting himself into a dangerous situation. And he's got this watch and it sends out the super signal. Whoop, 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 whoop. And Superman comes flying in to rescue his friend. And Green Lantern Hal Jordan had Tom Kalamatiku, and who is one of the engineers of his planes, and then also Carol Ferris, who is the owner of Ferris Air, the boss, one could say, and also Hal Jordan's major love interest. And she becomes Star Sapphire as well, one of the emotional spectrum rings that denote the use of love as the emotion. Yeah, the Star Sapphire ring. Yeah, huh? I got them all. Green Lantern, Red Lantern, Orange Lantern. And then also, but moving up a little bit too, like Kyle Rayner, he didn't have many human friends, non-powered friends, because they got really hurt in a way too. His first girlfriend, Alexandra DeWitt, is famous for literally being the girl in the refrigerator. Or if you heard the term fridged, it's like a major problematic thing in comics. It was actually just it was a really cruel story beat in this hero's journey that the bad guy kills Green Lantern, Hal Jordan's girlfriend, and stuffs her into a refrigerator. So when Kyle comes home, it's kind of like that Friday the 13th Part 2 reveal, where like at the cold open, when you open up the fridge in Friday the 13th Part 2, you had the severed head. And with this time, there was the crumpled dead body of Alexandra DeWitt. And but later on, Kyle gets an art assistant. So Kyle's day job, his secret identity, is he's a comic book artist. Isn't we always talk about self-inserts, but he's a comic book artist and he draws for Feast magazine. And he lives in Gotham. And so it's a lot like Friends in a way too. It was upbeat, soapy, melodramatic. Kyle had a lot of powered characters that were his friends and his girlfriend. But he got Terry Berg, his assistant, Terrence Berg. He was 17 years old. He just came into the city. It's his first big job. He's his art assistant, and he's also just come out of the closet as gay. And Terry premiered in Green Lantern Volume 3, number 129, and this was published in October of 2000. And he was created by Judd Winnick and Darryl Banks. And so this is way before we had activist culture changing things for the sake of change. These were legit story beats and legit perils. So, I'm not... There will be intersections of reality into the fictions. That's just, when you have a social commentary, it's hard to avoid. And refer to the escapism caveat later under all this. But Terry was gay bashed. He was left for dead, and he was almost crippled, and he was left in a very sorry state in the hospital. It had true pathos. And what did Kyle do? Kyle got revenge. He got outraged, but what he wanted to do was hurt these people, and he didn't. That was the point of it, was that Kyle had the opportunity to use his vast cosmic power of the Green Lantern ring to smite these evil, awful, hateful men who gay bashed his friend. But that was his choice to not violate his powers. And he decided to let justice take its course, and it ended well for everyone involved. Terry got better, and but that was a very poignant story beat. And this is like the cost of having these human sidekicks in the lives of the superheroes. They will be put into peril, and this has been going on since the beginning. Such as in the golden age of DC Comics, where it all started. We've been talking about comic books, and we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. So tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, and we'll find out who we're talking about when we turn the page tomorrow. Thank you so very, very much for tuning in. Like and subscribe. Just ring that bell. Turn on the notifications. Make it rain. Haha, I would love to earn your subscription. We make daily content here. We talk about comic books every day. I'm a professional chef. I make soups. I'm also called the Sultan of Soup, and I make soup shorts, and they're pretty delicious. You can check that out in the What's Cooking playlist. I'm a spiritual guy. I talk about gratitude a lot and about purpose. There's another playlist called the Gratitude List playlist. Check that out too. I would love to pay forward what I have learned, things to help me deal with my daily stresses. You know, and if you suffer from this too, tune in. There might be a kernel of wisdom waiting there for you. Thank you so very much. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. And we will see you in these funny pages again tomorrow. Cheers. Bye-bye.